CBT News, celebrating 10 years of delivering the news and content automotive professionals count on. CBT News, 10 years strong. Subscribe today. Welcome to CBT News with Bridget Fitzpatrick.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to CBT News. I'm Bridget Fitzpatrick. Here's Chris Riggins with today's top stories.
Thanks, Bridget. Later this year, General Motors will start selling its first ever electrified Corvette for more than $104,000. The car will have its first all-wheel drive, and according to the manufacturer, the E-Ray will be the fastest production Corvette. It will cover a quarter mile in 10.5 seconds and go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds. The E-Ray is expected to be one of Chevrolet's 8 new or redesigned models for 2023. Elon Musk is scheduled to stand trial in a civil proceeding in San Francisco on January 24, 2023, for allegedly using Twitter to commit fraud in 2018. The case that led to the trial was a class action complaint filed by Tesla stockholders on August 7, 2018, which started a 10-day period that included Musk's tweets. According to Musk's attorneys, the jury pool in San Francisco is likely to be biased against him due to his takeover of Twitter, which involved firing more than 3,750 workers. Automotive News reports a group of white hat hackers cracked customer and back-end operations of a variety of automakers. The findings are the result of the group's late last year detection of defects in SiriusXM's telematics service that caused breaches in several top manufacturers. As a result, auto security researchers will now concentrate on flaws in the services that major telecommunications companies provide to the industry. A group of GOP Wyoming state legislators want to ban the sale of electric vehicles there by 2035, claiming that doing so will protect the state's oil and gas sectors. 6 legislators have sponsored a bill that will encourage people and businesses to avoid buying EVs before the ban takes effect. The bill states, quote, "The spread of electric vehicles at the expense of gas-powered vehicles will have adverse effects on Wyoming's communities and will be detrimental to the economy," end quote. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next is Chris May, Director of Product Innovation and Intelligence at JM&A Group, and Bo Jarrett, Vice President of Sales at JM&A Group. We'll be right back.
Delivering the news dealers count on for 10 years. Subscribe today and join thousands of other automotive professionals. CBT News, 10 years strong.
2022 was a transformative year in retail automotive, from trends to regulations, and we've even seen changes in F&I. On today's show, we're joined by Chris May, Director of Product Innovation and Intelligence at JM&A Group, and Bo Jarrett, Vice President of Sales at JM&A Group, to discuss some of these changes and the ways to best navigate them. Take a look.
Let me also pick up there, and let's start with the compliance conversation. That seems to be obviously a very hot issue. Keeping dealerships in compliance with emerging regulations is essential for profitability and overall success. What opportunities is JM&A Group seeing with the latest rules proposed by the FTC, and what is the best way to ensure that you are running a compliant office?
Yeah, great question. Some of the things that the FTC has proposed do make sense. If somebody's charging $1,000 for nitrogen in their tires, it's probably not the best practice.
Sometimes we do this to ourselves in the industry, don't we?
We do, and it's been a great environment, with the lack of supply and high demand. Sure. You need to keep it simple, right? I would tell you that we've adopted a lot of the NADA guidelines or best practices. Make sure that you have a point person inside your dealership. Make sure that it's consistent.
For compliance?
Absolutely, and make sure that it's sustainable. So one of the things that we see that could get you in trouble is coming up with such a robust policy that your team can't follow it. Right. So making sure that it makes sense for your organization, starting with an NADA guide and kind of morphing it to what best suits your people and the environment that you're in. So
sure.
Overall training's just as important in this situation. We've seen an uptick in requests from a lot of our traditional classes that have compliance in them. Mm-hmm. Because to Bo's point, it's an entire dealership needs to understand this. And we've been preaching disclosures and menu selling systems and sign-offs for years. And it's just making sure, to Bo's point, that we're doing all of the basics, and then making sure that there's more ownership and responsibility, that we understand where the maybe opportunities where you can get in trouble, and have people, watching each other's back in the store.
Sure. And it really is a training initiative, isn't it? I mean, it begins with that. Because you can't just put a title on somebody. Okay, you're the person. They're like,
Correct.
okay, great. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be looking for, right?
It's blocking and tackling.
Yeah.
It really, really is. Technology's in a pretty good space. There's a lot of data and processes and systems that are floating around, and you just need somebody that has an awareness and ownership that and make sure that frontline associates are going to be doing what they need to do to protect everybody, right? It's a group mindset, and I think that's probably the biggest thing over the next 6 months, is that everyone has a baseline understanding of what their role is to protect the dealership as a whole.
Yeah, very happy that they pushed the safeguards rule back to June. So it gives us a little bit more runway to make sure that all of our practices are dialed in. And we believe that we're doing the majority of those things, to Chris's point, but if you haven't put any of the technology in place, now's the time. Let's make sure it works perfectly by that June deadline.
All right, be sure to watch this interview in its entirety right here at cbtnews.com. That wraps up our show for today, but we invite you to join us back here again tomorrow morning for all the latest news and trends impacting the retail automotive industry. And be sure to follow us on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Bridget Fitzpatrick. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
CBT News, your #1 resource for auto industry news and content. Join the #1 most watched newscast in the automotive industry. CBT News, 10 years strong. Subscribe today.